cannot be overstated. We absolutely are watching history play out before our eyes. And for many of us, much more quickly than we would have thought. I think we all saw that this was sort of end days for the regime, but for everything to have collapsed so quickly, I think it really goes to the fact that Assad's former, Assad was propped up for a long time by the Russians and by the Iranian regime. And when they failed to help him this last time because they couldn't, really shows you how much they were helping him in the past.
I was going to ask you about that because we know that the Middle East at the moment, you know all too well given your former role, but is such a volatile situation. I imagine that Iran in particular will be keeping a close eye on this and will be effectively pleased with what they're seeing tonight.
Well, I think this certainly was not good for the Iranian regime. They had aligned themselves with Assad. They had effectively they'd been using Syria as a pass-through for a lot of weapons. They've been attacking Israel.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. I meant, sorry, for the West as opposed. Yeah, I see what you mean. Sorry, Iran will be very displeased, but the West will be, yeah, obviously. I see what you mean.
Yes.
Yes, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, no worries. No, that is true. The West right now seems to be celebrating the fall of Assad, and certainly, he was a very bad man who murdered tens of thousands of his own people quite brutally, and over a period of many, many years. But I think it remains to be seen if what's coming is any better. Unfortunately, I hope that it is. I hope for the Syrian people that they get a chance to live in peace and the civil war ends. But there are some alarming signs from some of these Syrian rebel groups who seem to be a bit on the extreme side, and so hopefully. The worst case scenario of that will not play out, but it does remain to be seen right now how that develops and exactly who these groups are.
We don't know where President Assad has gone, but you could assume that he's either gone to Russia or Iran.
Other places that people have said include was it Egypt, Russia, UAE? I think former regime members have all gone there to one of those places. Yeah, I could see any of that being the case, but I would say he's now sort of a global pariah. So what would any of those countries stand to gain by letting him live there? I'm not sure who would allow him to stay there, and probably there'd be a pretty hefty price tag attached to that, I would imagine.
And what is next for Syria? Because I know some of the public institutions, they can't sort of operate them straight away, the rebels, but they freed inmates from jails. They're now running the capital. You've got Assad who's left. I take it they are going to start to make TV addresses and really claim that they are in charge.
Yes, that appears to be the case. I'm seeing these videos pop up on social media now of exactly what you described. So yes, that does seem to be the case, and I would not be surprised to see a future where there is no real country of Syria, where we see what used to be the country of Syria sort of break apart into several different regional areas governed by different groups. I increasingly believe that will be the case. I mean, we can look at what's been happening, for example, right in the Golan area, where they were attacked by one of these Syrian rebel groups, and they actually had to go and supporting United Nations troops actually go into Syria in the Golan Heights and start fighting. So There's going to be, many skirmishes. There's obviously a very strong Turkish influence and Turkish support for some of these groups as well. Turkey may well want to take over land areas where they've been trying to enter for actually a very long time. And now with the sort of perfect storm of the incredibly weakened Iranian regime, the incredibly weakened Russian military, and this change of power in the United States between Biden and Trump, and this kind of window of opportunity for Turkey and Erdogan, that I think really created this situation where they're just pushing and pushing and pushing, and the house of cards has collapsed.
Last question. I wonder, your country, the United States, how you think President Biden, or indeed President-elect Donald Trump, should react to this, and indeed the West sort of more broadly.
Well, I've been calling for someone in our leadership to express what our desired strategic end state is in Syria. What's in our interest? What's our goal here? I haven't heard anyone express that in a while. And by the way, we still have troops on the ground in Syria, so it would be helpful to understand what we're doing with them there and what their goal should be. Today, President-elect Trump, I suppose yesterday, President-elect Trump put out a statement really describing what he believes our U.S. goals should be in Syria, i.e., none at the moment. We should be sitting back and watching. That's what he is saying. And I think that he makes a pretty strong argument for why what is happening right now is it's not in our interest to get involved at the moment. I think an important caveat would be to say that we do need to monitor the situation closely because of the potential for these radical elements to rise and become more powerful and start, planning external operations like ISIS did from that same area not too long ago. So, but yeah, we do have a strategic direction now starting January 20th, which in my opinion is refreshing and well needed.
Thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated. That's Simone Leaden, who's former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defence in the US, responsible for the Middle East.